welcome to the Lion's Den. And I'm Mufasa, big boss in charge of coming in like a bull. You see me raising the stock up.
Hey guys, welcome to the Backstage Pass podcast with your host Ashley Lakomowski.
And your host Val.
And today's episode is our bodybuilding journey, where it all began, plus some of our very favorite moments with our journey in bodybuilding, where we started. And I think there's a lot of really awesome things to be said through our journey, right, Val?
Yeah, I think it was long overdue. Like I told Ashley, I feel like we started the podcast and we had like great, obviously, like subject and conversation. But a lot of people know us, obviously, through bodybuilding or journey through bodybuilding, and not everyone knows our story or even share like some of our good moments, because I think there's a lot of good moments that, for different reason, and just kind of go through that would be fun.
I know. And I think a lot of times, like, we were just like wanting to get into different topics, right? But like you said, this is where we started, and I think that a lot of people do find it interesting. And I think sometimes we look at ourselves like, is it interesting? But it is. It makes us who we are and how we met and where we're, where we're at because of bodybuilding.
Yeah. Do you feel though, because obviously like some of our people been following us forever, like I feel like I'm like, okay, like I don't want to say it again, because I feel like everyone knows you, like you assume that people knows your story or like things like that. And I'm like, okay, no, maybe that would be good to like go over it and mention our journey and stuff.
Yeah, and I think also too, it helps us like processing it, like us talking about this, like it makes us realize like, wow, like that's where we started. These are like the things that we've learned from it, and this is like where we're going. And I don't know, it just gives it more of this interesting story to tell.
Yeah.
I guess we could say, Val, like what year was your first, like where were you at before you got into bodybuilding?
Oh my god, I was very, very sportive, or just I was lucky that like my parents got me into just sports when I was super young. So I started gymnastics at like 5 years old, and that was like the greatest sports. Literally, I love bodybuilding, but like gymnastics like tops it, just because it just teaches you so much of like anything, like just teaches you even just for life. I mean, I think any sports can like bring or teach you a lot of things just for like how to like live, how to be like determined, how to like go through life pretty much and be a strong person. But gymnastics was really good. I did like competitive gymnastics. I did a lot of like different sports with like school. There was like cross country, which I was like very good at it. I would always get like top 3. So I had that pressure to get top 3 every time we would have a like cross country at school, which like it was good because it pushed me, but like I would like be sick to my stomach the day before cross country, because I was so stressed. I was like, I need to be in the top 3, and I always did. So did a lot of sports, and then volleyball too, like team sports, more like solo sports. And when I got into right before college, there was like no really like team sports. Not that there wasn't team sport, I guess I didn't get into any. I almost like got into like running, but I was like, okay, no, like that summer before college, I was like, I need something, because I don't have anything right now. So I started going to the gym with a girl who like I would work with, and I would like drive with her because I didn't have my car at the time. And then I just started training and loving training like way more. And just like learning, at the beginning, it's like, okay, how do I get like skinny? How do I get abs? How do I get like, just like tone?
Oh, yeah.
And so I would do a lot of like functional things too. Like now that I remember, like it was a lot of like training, but like abs, jump box, like probably like, a bit of everything. And I went to see my first coach when I got to college. I went to get a coach, and just to like get follow a diet, like lose some weight. Like, I mean, I was never like, I was always in like good shape because like I would like run so much in the summer, but just I don't know. I guess I want to be lean. I can't even remember why I was like, okay, I want to coach and be like strict, but I was like, okay, let me get a coach. And he told me like, oh, like he saw like how good I was at like following instruction. So he was like, oh, you should do a bikini show. And I was like, oh, what is that? And he showed me, and I was like, yeah, why not, let's try it. And I had no idea what I was getting into. It was like the hardest thing. Like I was living at my parents at the time, and I think, well, I can't remember, but like if I asked them, they probably remember. I was probably like so miserable in a way. Like I was loving it because it was like, especially the first show you do, and then you're getting into training, you're like so passionate. I would like drive like 2 hours to go to like different gyms, but like just like the diet and like being tired, and I was probably like so miserable and like short with them because I was also like younger, right? So you're kind of like a bit not as nice with your parents or like. So yeah, I did my first show. They freaked out kind of. That's going to be a story for another time, but they freaked out when I said I wanted to do another one. And so I just kind of like took a break for like 3 years, and then after that, when I got in a relationship kind of with my ex, he kind of he kind of encouraged me to like get a new coach, which is like is coach as well. And I was like, okay, let me try to prep again and see how I will look like. And then I was like 19 at the time, I think 20, maybe 19. And I was like, I'm out of the house, I'm 19, they don't have they cannot say anything. So yeah, just 2018, that was like the first time I competed again. And then I competed again every year or more than once a year. For the past 10 years.
What was your first show?
Oh my god. It was like in Quebec or like regional. It was so bad. It was 2015, and then the girl who did my makeup, she was a like professional like artist, but she obviously never like did makeup for like someone who competes. So I went to go for my tan, and then she did my makeup after, and she tried to match with the makeup.
Yeah.
My body color. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to like put photo there. Like I've shared them before. I look like a Oompa Loompa. It is so bad, and I want to say
I
that
have to see it.
I still had cheeks on stage. Like obviously I wasn't like crazy like conditioned, but yeah, it's just funny to look back at it and like how like innocent you are, right? And like your first shows and going into it. Yeah. What was your first show?
First off, I have to say we need to find a picture of that first show.
I will.
I would love to see a photo of you, but let's see. So my first show was 2018 as well. But I'm like, how much older am I than you, Val? So I'm 36. So
I'm 27.
Yeah. So it's crazy though. It's crazy to think though, like even just the age difference in that, like when we both competed our first show that year. So I'd be like interested in pulling up my photo too.
True. Well, it was the same year though. No. Well, yeah, almost.
Yeah.
But did you feel like? Well, like I want you to like go from like the beginning though how you started, but first I want to know like when you did your first show, like how can I say that? Did you like were you like very innocent, kind of like, because I feel like now, like when people go do a first show, they're so much more like qualified, like you know, some people like compete and they already have like a crazy physique. For me, like 2015, bodybuilding was like newer, that like there was not many like knowledge and even like coaches, so it's like I got there, it's like it's hilarious compared to like someone competes now for a first show. They look really good, like at the original level. Like, how was it for you? Was it like,
I would say that I actually looked pretty good, like, for my first show. But I was also, like, really preparing for it, like, over-preparing, like, oh, my God, like, I was, like, looking at the girls that were already, like, even though I know that we look at, yeah, I was looking at the girls that were at the top, and I was, like, comparing myself to them, like, I have to, like, look close to that. If I'm going to compete, like, I have to look close to that. So I remember my coach was just, like, you know, like, I would say that I was innocent and naive to, like, my coach that was coaching me. He was just, like, a friend's husband that did it on the side. And so, like, he knew what he was talking about, you know, so it was kind of like, okay, like, Mike and I were like, yeah, like, he coached, you know, my friend at the time. So it seemed like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? So it ended up working out really well to where I actually did look good. But oh my gosh, like, I remember looking at my photos, like, I am, like, still to this day, like, I remember my heels were too small for me, number one. I remember, like, trying to fit my feet into these, like, it was like a half inch too small. Like, usually when you're dieted down, your heels are bigger, right?
Yeah.
I remember looking at the photo and they were so squished. Number one, I was so uncomfortable walking.
Like,
I was like, oh my. It was so bad. It was so bad. I remember I had, like, really bleach blonde hair, which is fine, but I remember, like, my hair just looked so fried. Like, it just looked. Mikey is so sweet, though. He's like, oh, it didn't look that bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it looked terrible.
I want to see the photos, then I can tell you.
Yeah, I'll tell you. My face, or I'll show you. And then my face, it's just like, my body looked good, but, like, looking at myself, I was just like, ugh. You know what I mean? Like, you know how we are. We're so critical. And, like, I was,
I think it's like, everyone with their first show, though.
Yeah. Posing was hilarious. But I will tell you this. When I remember watching the routine of me coming out, and, like, my posing was off, but I was so confident. Like, I really, like, I was like, oh my God, like, I was really confident walking out there, like, because I believed that what I was doing was what I was supposed to do. So I believed it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think it's also expectation. You know, when you have no expectation, when you're, like, kind of, like, a bit like that's your first time, you don't really know anything, there's still nerves, but there's that beauty of, like, doing something for the first time that there's no expectation, and you're oblivious to it. So you're like, okay, let me go have fun. Then, like, obviously you compete, there's so much more expectation, you're more critical to everything, which is, I think, like, that's why, like, the first couple of shows, like, people always say, like, just enjoy it, like, soak in every moment, and it's, like, so important. But, like, if I try to, like, remember my first show, I think I can remember, like, I don't even know my second show. I can remember glimpses of, like, nationals and stuff. That's been, like, it's been a couple of years now, but I have no recollection of my first show. What happened before, after, during, not at all.
That's crazy that you don't remember that. Maybe not, though. I don't know. I remember, like, every little piece of detail of, you know what I mean? But I don't know.
Wow. So how did you get into bodybuilding?
So, got into it through, obviously, you know, like, Mike and his family. They were Mike's dad and his brother. He grew up in a bodybuilding family, I guess you could say. His dad was a bodybuilder. Actually, his grandfather was, and then his brother Brandon was a natural bodybuilder, right? So he competed in lots of competitions. Mike did not compete. I think he was just more into really being part of it, and he loved the training aspect of it. So, obviously, meeting Mike, I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this is pretty intense. Like, your family does this. I remember not really being so, like, interested.
Were you like, what's the word? Like, like either like intimidated or like, ooh, like, that's a lot. Like, I don't know if I like that.
I felt like it was really intense because seeing the way that they lived, I felt like it was just very disciplined in the sense of like, I guess I looked at it as being boring. Not boring, but like, kind of like, okay, go to the gym at this time. Come home, eat your meal. Like, you have to have all these meals, you know, and
Too
make sure.
strict.
Yeah, it was too strict for me, but I was very unsure. But I also had seen, like, you know, the dedication and the discipline that they put into it, you know. And for me, like, growing up, I was not, you know, I remember being a very athletic person. I was very, like, active, like, doing lots of things, always being outside, riding my bike, playing, like, free sports at school, you know, things that were free where you didn't have to pay to be on the team and all that stuff. Did try out for the softball team let's see, what grade was I in? I was in, my freshman year of high school when I was living in California still.
Wait, what is freshman year?
So
last
I
year?
was...
Or the first
Oh, wait.
year?
The first year.
Okay.
So, yes. Wait, no, was it freshman year or was it? No, it was junior high. It would have been 8th grade. 8th grade before 9th grade, which 9th grade is like your freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know it's probably different, right? Is it different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So different.
That's really interesting. So I guess you could say junior high, which is before high school. That's when I tried out for the softball team. So I was like, I think I had just turned like 14. I think I was like 14 or something. 14 or 15 years old. And I remember I tried out for the softball team because I was like, I felt like naturally I always needed to exert myself physically. And like I said, like, I loved sports. I wanted to be part of something. And I think growing up, I seen my dad play softball. So it was like, oh, that'd be cool. And I see all the girls on the softball team, and they were kind of like, ugh, you know what I mean? So, like, I remember in that sense, I was kind of a little intimidated because I'm like, man, these girls look pretty, like, they look pretty husky, you know what I mean? But, like, but in a good way. So I remember I tried out, and I remember I didn't know, but I showed up with soccer cleats. My mom and I went to the store. I know. My mom and I went to the store. It was so sweet. She went and bought me soccer cleats. We didn't know they were soccer cleats, and neither did I. So we showed up, and the coach was like, oh, honey, these are soccer cleats. And I was like, oh. I was like, well, can't they, like, do the same thing? And she was like, she's
you
like,
can try.
no. She's like, no, we're gonna need some softball cleats. I was like, okay. So I think I just had some regular. I put my old, like, my regular tennis shoes on. Didn't make the team. I thought I did actually pretty good, not bad, because I think at that time too, I was so, like, innocent in the sense of, like, I was never critical of myself in the sense of, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or, man, like, I didn't feel the pressure as much at that age. Like, it was more just, like, I believed what I did. I believed that, like, okay, if I do this, like, you know, I'll be good. If not, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't like, like, I'm not good enough, or, like.
Yeah. Until after she said you didn't make the team. I was like.
Oh, did you feel?
I felt crappy. I was like, man, that sucks. But I'm like, it's okay. Like, not a big deal. Like, I have other things I'm into. I really wanted to do some kind of physical activity sport, you know? And I was just really, my stuff that I was really into at the time was theater, just more like arts and theater performance and stuff like that. So to me, that was really enjoyable. I loved that. But like I said, I just felt like I needed to physically exert myself. So that's when I really started running. It was free, so I'd run in the mornings, and then mainly I would actually run a lot at night. And very, very therapeutic for me. I just felt so good. And it just really honestly became an addiction. And that was really more of my athletic background of doing those kinds of things, going to like yoga classes and, things like that, which I was still always, like I said, I always wanted to still take care of myself in the sense of like having to like just exert myself in some kind of physical aspect, you know what I mean?
And you know what I love about those things though? Like, it made me think of that because I've been trying to like do high rocks and stuff. But then when you run, when you do like yoga or like things like that, you're away from your phone, which is like sometimes I'm like weight training and I'm always picking up my phone after a set. And I'm like, Val, just like I shouldn't feel awkward to just rest and wait. And sometimes I do. But like a lot of times I just pick up my phone. But then when I'm like doing any type of like cardio, like running, even like on the treadmill, if I just like do the treadmill for like cardio, like walking, I'll be on my phone the whole time scrolling. It annoys me so much, unless if I put a podcast. But when I run, when I do those things, it's like you can pick up your phone, which feels even better because now you're just with yourself.
I know, it's like this like it's like this peaceful solitude, and you're just like, it's so different. It still takes like your mind off of, like for me, like I'm sure this is for you too, but like when you're running, you're doing those kinds of things, like I'm not like thinking of bad things. Like it's like almost like, I feel like it's almost like when they say that like people, when they come up with ideas, right, it's like they're in the shower or they're out in nature taking a walk, but for me it was like running was always more of like this motivational, like where I get ideas and like, man, and just keep on going, I'm like, damn, I'm like 40 minutes away, I better turn around. But I would say that's,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's really where I started, and then, meeting Mike and then seeing them go to the gym, and then I would go with Mike to the gym, and he'd show me stuff, and I remember being like kind of like, oh, and I still had the same, I'd always tell him like I want to like just be toned, and I think like it's like such a cliche thing that we hear. Yeah, I don't want to be too big and bulky, like nothing against those people, I just don't want to look like that, is what I said. And it's so funny because now like when I hear it, I say to them like, well, here's the good thing is that you're not going to look like me because we're all different. So like,
you're way nicer than me. I'm always just very blunt, especially to my clients. I'm like, good luck. It's gonna take a long time to get there. I don't say that, but like, I think I told my client like she's one of my friends now. Like she would laugh at it, but I think she was like, oh, like, or can like sing like, oh, like I want legs like I'm like, good luck. We'll talk in 10 years. She was like, what? I'm like, well, I've been bodybuilding for 10 years, like nonstop. So she was like, okay. I'm like, oh, sorry, I should have been the next person.
Sorry. You're like, well, it's the truth, and the thing is they know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's really kind of where it started, and then we had moved to Texas. We moved to Texas, and that's when we really got into going to the gym. We wanted to start fresh. Mike wanted to start off, just us like having structure in our life and doing good things for ourselves, and so going to the gym was one of them. He was like, I really want to get back into it and get in shape like I used to. And I was like, I do too, definitely. Like for me, I really just wanted to create, like I felt like I was still like wanting to focus on myself. Like we moved to Texas and I still wanted to like work towards something. And I felt like the closest thing to me at that time was obviously us going to the gym. It was free to go to the gym. I was able to escape and work on myself in that sense. And so I told Mike, I was like, yeah, like let's do this. Let's stick to it. Let's like change up our diet, eat good. Because previously I felt like I didn't really eat that much.
I was about to ask you that. Like, what was your like nutrition before that?
I felt like it was still not enough at all. I don't think I ate very much. Like, I would eat, like, because I enjoy food. I do. But it was more like I don't think I had enough protein for sure. I did not have enough protein. I've always loved breakfast. That's never changed. Love a big breakfast, eggs, pancakes, French toast, all of the above. But I'd eat like sandwiches, or like I would still eat burgers. So like I would still get my protein, but like it wasn't like as consistent. I would snack a lot, like maybe have like 3 meals a day with snacks in between. Really is I would say is my diet.
I think like teenagers like diet. It's like the funniest thing. It's like, so like all over the place and random, unless you get like a very good, either like your parents really put you in like a good place when you were young. I'm not saying that my parents didn't, but like I would eat whatever, I would still eat good stuff, but like also whatever. It's just funny how it is.
That's true though, because we were in the grocery store today, and we were passing, this lady was like looking at like the canned like foods, and I remember like growing up on, have you ever heard of beefaroni or like SpaghettiOs?
Oh yeah. For me it would be like Kraft dinner.
Yes,
it was like my like favorite meal with like hot dog sausages.
Yes,
that was the only thing I could cook, and the best thing, like my favorite thing all the time. Or Nutella toast. Literally.
Gosh, that sounds so good right now. And as you know, I'm hungry. That sounds really good, though. They have the SpaghettiOs with the little Franks, right? I don't know if you've seen those, but they have those. And the beefaroni that's all I would eat, like, as a kid. Like, I loved... My mom would always cook, though, too. My mom always was cooking for us. She was a really good cook, and she'd always make things with so much love. So, like, when we'd eat it, I would just, like, I just loved eating.
Yeah.
But, so I always say, well, I'm a good eater, so maybe that helped, too, with being able to put on muscle, because, like, I'm, like, like, I enjoy eating. I can put on some weight, But, where was I going with that? But yeah, so got into that, training, got into 6 months into really being consistent, disciplined in the gym. I had seen results, like, man, looking at myself like, man, I look good. Like, got some tone, looking muscular. Like, I felt really good about myself, and it was like, okay, this is paying off. And I had a couple people come up to me and ask me, like, hey, do you compete? And I was like, compete in what? And at that time, like, I know that, like, I knew about competing, Val, but, like, I was not in...
Like, you didn't see yourself in there, yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't on social media, really, and I wasn't, like, looking into the people that competed. You know what I mean? Until they brought it up to me, then I was like, and looking up some of the competitors and stuff like that, So, like, I wasn't really in that world to really know, even though Mike would always talk about, like, the big Olympians and the bodybuilders of, like, the different era and stuff. And I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I cared, but I didn't. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wasn't into it like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to look good.
That's all I want. Eat and look good.
I just want to eat and look good. I want to have really nice legs, is really what my ultimate goal was, too. Like, I just wanted my upper body, naturally, I felt like it was, like, easy. Like, it kind of came up for me. Like, shoulders and arms, like, those are always toned. Yeah. It was more just, like, building, more muscular and having, like, those really nice legs,
Did you love training legs when you started, or you hated it?
I hated it.
Really?
So hard. I remember just having days of feeling so brutal, like, wow, but I'm like, I know this is what it's going to take, and I would train with the boys, and I loved it because they were so intense, and I just felt like it was like, it was like my brothers, obviously my husband, but like it was just like, all of that energy I really needed to, and they're like, come on, Ash, and I I needed that push because naturally I'm kind of like, oh, you know, like, but it built so much. It built so much, I don't know, just belief in myself. Them pushing me was like, it really helped with my self-belief and just more of this discipline lifestyle when it came to training. You know, it made it more interesting to me to look deeper into training and find training to be so interesting. You know, and how the body works and stuff.
I think too, when you get like, you've been lucky to like from the beginning to have like such a good team and like having the guys to train with the guys and like, you know, push you, because now it's not only just like, okay, I'm going to the gym, I'm kind of like mindless there, I'm like training. And I think that's why too, like some people gets into training, they have a hard time, they're kind of like, I don't like that, because it's like there's nothing kind of like pushing them. You know, if you do a team sport, then you're being pushed. If you have to run, you have to like push yourself, you can't stop. But then bodybuilding is like, or training is really easy to like, you know, I'm so like, okay, so running, if you go running, if it gets hard, if you stop, like, you're done. Like, does that make sense? But then training, it's something you can do easily, like mindlessly. You're still training, but there's nothing really coming out of it. So when you're really having those people push you, you're like, okay, I'm actually pushing towards something. I'm not just going there kind of like for like 45 minutes, just passing time in a way, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, and like, yeah, it is hard to like find girls who's gonna push you the way guys gonna push you, just naturally. So
I think I could say, like, I know I told you this before, but I think the only motivation I had from, well, not only motivation, motivation I had from a girl at that time was her telling me that I should compete in the bikini division. No offense to my bikini girls. I think it's beautiful, but I knew that, like, for my structure, like, it would almost like take me, it's like I needed the challenge, you know, like I knew that like I could work towards building more muscle, and I knew that I also had the shape for figure. But I remember her telling me that, and the way that she said it, because she competed in figure and she was trying to get qualified, like she's been doing it for years, and I remember her just saying that, but she said it in such a way that was like, oh, she kind of like looked at me, was like, and she was like, I think you should do bikini. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do bikini. I was like,
it's like almost like you're not at my level, you know?
Yeah, and I was thinking, you are 5'3", okay? No offense to my 5'3" women. You are five. I know. I was like, but I think it was more of like, for me, it's like, you're going to tell me that I can't do something, and it bothered me, because I'm thinking, and I think that was more of like, that was good for me, though, to hear that. It was good for me. So it was meant to be like, don't tell me I'm not going to do something, because now I'm going to really show you.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, when people give you critique or like say something negative, you can take it two ways. Either like it remotivate you and like push you, being like, okay, no, I'm gonna do it because you don't think I can, or it can really just crush you down. And it comes down to like how strong you are and like how much you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna do it, girl. And then, you know what's funny is that her husband ended up being my coach. That's like one that like, her husband, he ended up being my coach, and I was like, okay, let's do this.
Do you feel like she didn't like that, or she didn't mind?
She probably didn't mind, because we were obviously paying him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She kind of had brought it up and was like, well, you know, my husband coaches.
Okay.
And so she brought it up to me. So she was cool about it. I just think that when I think about it now, like, I don't think she necessarily meant it in like a bad way, right? But at the time, I think that it was good that it came off that way, because it made me really, like, I don't know, at that time, it was like, no, I'm competing in this division. I didn't take a second guess, like, oh, should I? I was like, no, I'm determined to compete in this division. This is the division I want to compete in. This is where I feel like my body comes closest to, like, being realistic, you know what I mean? Like, I knew, I was still, like, looking at my body and still thought, okay, where could I excel in? Where could I fit but also grow in? And I felt like figure was that for me, and I just loved everything about it, you know what I mean? Just loved everything about it.
Do you feel like your motivation of, like, competing at the beginning came mostly, like, inward or, like, outward? Like, was it like, okay, no, I just want to be, like change and, like, like, build my physique? Or it was a lot of, like, either people, again, just, like, telling you things like that, or, like, seeing other competitors, doing it and be like, okay, that motivates me?
I feel like at first it was more really about physical, and also, like, more about myself. Really just wanting to work on something, like, just something to work towards for Ashley, and just prove to myself that I could do something that was mentally and physically challenging for myself. It's like I knew that I needed to grow in some part of my life, and that was, like, the stepping stone for me to actually, like, physically and mentally just grow with the challenge, right? And then it became, like, those little things where it was like, that's when I was like, when she said that to me, I was like, no, because I was already stuck in that way, like, okay, it was like more of, like, these little obstacles, right, like, that were trying to, like, make me think differently about this, like, make me second question myself. And so I took it as, like, okay, like, no, you're not going to knock me down, like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt like it was always, like, it was always challenging, right? You know how it is, and they're, like, little doubts and fears. But I feel like going into my first show, I had a really great mindset. When I think about it, like, it wasn't as much pressure, right? Because it's my first show. I want to have fun, so there wasn't as much on the line for myself and where I was. Like, it was just, like, everything was so new to me, and it was really nice. But yeah, I feel like it's always been, but still the motivation too, even to this day, is still seeing when I'm feeling down. I like to see other people's, stories, let's just say on Instagram, social media. Like, when I'm feeling kind of down, it's like seeing that stuff motivates me to think, okay, I could do this. Or even seeing where I started and reminding myself, like, you can do this. Like, you've done this before. It's no different. Like, it's just it's more of the pressures, I think, over time that have gotten stronger, of kind of like what we were talking about before we got on here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny though, like, sometimes I probably not my first show, because my first show, like, I probably, like, cheated here and there because of, like, how hard it is as a first prep to, like, especially at, like, I don't know anything, and, like, my first coach, not as, like, knowledge as some coaches are now, so, like, got my food, like, really, really low for the whole time. Like, it was just, like, it's a first prep, right? So I was, like, super young, so I probably, like, not follow the plan 100% all the time. But I think, like, when I look back at, like, the first, like, 2 national that I did, and even, like, third and probably fourth too, but, like, the first couple, like, the first 2 years really that, like, I got really good at bodybuilding, I feel like my mindset was, like, the best. It was, like, the best, the sharpest. I was, like, not, like, not an extra gram, no sauce, no, like, I would not drink any energy drink the whole prep, just, and then I don't know, like, if it's like you get to, like, you get more knowledge on, like, the sport, and you're, like, I feel like the last couple prep was like, I would put, like, water in the inside of my water, like, I would drink energy drink, like, all the time, and I would, like, add a bit of, like, sauce on my stuff, like, even if it's, like, 5 calories, which, like, before, like, it would be like, no, if it's, like, 2 calories more, I'm not adding anything, And it's like, I don't know if it's, like, I think at the end too, I was like just getting like tired and like weary, and I just wasn't as, there mentally, which plays a big role too. It's not an excuse. I know like mentally I wasn't like exactly where I should have been. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know if it's like when you also at the beginning of your journey in bodybuilding, you're so like, you're all in, right? You live for bodybuilding. You're like, that's all you want to hear about. That's what you want to talk about. And like by the end, I was just like, okay, like I love bodybuilding, but that's like, that's enough for me to do it. Like the rest of the time, I'm like, I think my mind wanted to go somewhere else sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And I feel like it was hard sometimes for me for like the last probably like 2-3 prep. I think like the last 2 prep, or especially the last one after like the Olympia, I was like, why I'm not able to get back there, like so like on point. I don't know, it was like, yeah. But the first couple prep, it's like everything is so new, and like you're just like, you just want to prove yourself. You're like, okay, like it should always be like that, but I'm just being honest that like it's not always been for me at the end. I was like a bit more looser, and like sometimes a bit like extra like grams of like protein, like things here and there, like cucumbers, or not cucumbers, but like pickles, like things that like still like adds up at the end, right?
Yeah, so. That makes me think though, Val, because like we were talking about, like it's like it changes each prep. And it's like you think differently, and then I feel like I can go off into a different thing here, but
I know I feel like I'm like going off topic.
No, that's good though. So, how do you think that you felt though? The question I want to ask you is, how did you feel like leading up to the Olympia? Like when you got qualified, were you like, how did you feel? Like going into like your first big show, I guess you could say.
It's hard to describe. Like, I was obviously like excited, but I think it's like so like surreal. You can like don't realize it. And the thing is, so I won my pro card 2021, right? And then there was like at the amateur Olympia, so that was end of the year. So, and the Toronto Pro, because of COVID, got pushed back after the Olympia. So I had the chance to like do the first like pro show like like 6 weeks after, I think. So I competed in December Toronto Pro, and then I did the Toronto Pro again the next year in like June. So Toronto Pro was both my 2 first pro show. So pretty much I won my pro card December, like around the same time, did pro show, another pro show in June the next year, and then I did Vancouver in like 6 weeks after Toronto, and then I qualified. So for me, I've never been like, oh my god, like my goal is to be at the Olympia. I mean, I feel like I got there eventually, but like since the beginning, like I think the biggest thing for me was like I want to get my pro card. And I think when I got my pro card, I was just more like, okay, like finally, like I can, because I knew I would have potential. I knew my potential. I was just like, okay, finally I can, I'm on the other side of it, and I can see how I do on the pro stage. But for me, I was just like, okay, that can like stay there. I was like, I just want to see how I do on the pro stage and like grow from there. So for me to like get qualified so quick, it was like, it wasn't even in my vision anyway. Like, like already, it was like, I know it's gonna happen in the future. How many years? I'm taking years, and it happened like right away. So I think it was just a lot to like unpack and like realize. And the thing too, I think like when I won Vancouver, I made so many, like it was a great moment. Like there was Vancouver I loved because I was very at peace when I went to compete, and I think that's one thing that like and I felt the same way when I won my pro card. And I think it's God giving you peace, because when it's supposed to be yours, it's yours. There's no stress. It's giving you peace. And I think for me, every time I would feel at peace at a show, it would be like a good sign.
Yeah.
So it was so cool going into Vancouver and like feeling at peace. Even backstage, I'm usually like very like anxious, and I was very calm. And I look at the girl, and I was like, okay, like I don't know, like they have good physique, but I feel like for the first time I felt like, okay, I can still like have that. And then I won, and then I made so many excuses. I don't know if like that's the right like the right word, but like for like why did I won? Does that make sense? It's like it wasn't like, oh, I won, like I'm proud of myself. There was a part of it, yeah, but it was like, oh yeah, but there was a weak show, there was a Canadian show, you know, there wasn't a US show, there wasn't a big show, there wasn't that many girls. It's like, no, like just so I think there was a bit of that too, that like going into the Olympia, it's like I don't know if I fully felt like I earned that. You know?
Yeah.
So going like the prep was like great. It was like challenging, but like I really love where my physique was going. But then the Olympia weekend, I've not been lucky with like my like shows and like just shows weekend. Like I mean, there's a lot of positive, but like there's also, I've not been lucky on like how things or like went down, or like, you know, just Olympia was like, weekend was a dream literally until like show, like not show day, but like it's, oh yeah, show day.
You were like super like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to do this, like just super like anxious and stuff.
I wasn't like, I was at peace until like, you know, when I like, it was like fun, like everything was like, you know, smooth, and then we went to get like our tracksuit, and such a like good feeling. But I think I like the moment I realized, and that was really cool, the moment I like really like felt it, and like I was like, wow, like it's happening, is when I put my tracksuit on and I was like walking to like the athlete meeting, like the meet and greet. And then I went there like with no expectation, and I had people coming at my table like the whole time I was there. And I was like, it was like such a warming moment. I was like, okay, now I understand like how he feels and why people say like the meet and greet is like the best moment. But then then I got anxious a bit when I get to the room and stuff, just like trying to like sleep. And the next day was just like so rushed. I got like backstage like so late, not late, but I was like late, so I was like trying to get glazed, and like I didn't have a band to like pump up. I was trying to find a band. My coach couldn't get backstage, so he was trying to get backstage. So I'm like literally like a mess, you know. And all the girls kind of like know each other, like that have been there for a while. Like they don't, it's like at pro shows I feel like you're more chill, there's not as many girls, and it's like people talk to you. But like I was a wreck, and I was like, you know, I don't know anyone here, like I'm trying to get around, trying to like, you know, Mike would probably see me. He took a photo of me back, so he probably saw me like walking around like I'm a crazy person.
He did. I remember. He's like, I remember Val. He's like, I don't know if she remembers, but I remember taking photos of her, and I was like, I would love to find. You need to see if you can find those photos. Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me one. So I mean, yeah, I was getting glazed, and then all the girls were in line, and I was still getting glazed, and I was like, oh my god. I'm not even pumped up, and I'm going up to like do, I don't know if it was my routine at the time, and then I got in my routine, I get on stage, and the stage is like carpet.
Oh my god. So
it's not even hard, like, you know, when stage are like literally like carpet.
Yeah.
And the lines, because it's carpet, is a tape. Well, literally, I got stuck. I'm like, you know, when you come in, the first couple of poses, I get to like start walking. My heels was stuck in the tape.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you ever saw that video, because I refused to post that video. I cut like that part because I kept walking, and the guy who's like always on stage helping the girls, he pulled on the tape, so when I start walking, it just, you know, detached from my, so I kept going like nothing happened.
Oh my
and
God,
I finished
Val.
my routine, so that was great, you know, I can like played it off. But then when they send me the footage, I'm like, man, I can't post that routine. So I just chopped some like bits and bits, right? And then end up like couple after, when I felt better about it, like I end up like doing a reel, kind of like laughing about it and being like, thank you for this little guy to save my life. And then you end up like commenting, I'm like, thank you. But yeah, so it was kind of like hectic show days, but like it was still like, it was great. Like the best thing too was, I mean, we can get into it like in a other episode. I think like, you know, having your parents like support you or not. I know it's a big thing, was like huge for me. It was like very hard at the beginning. It took a long time for them to come around, but as I turned pro, they started coming around more, and they came to my first pro show, and then obviously they came to Olympia, which like meant the world for me. So when I at the expo for like prejudging, it's like when you're on the side, you can see like, you know, the people.
Yeah.
And my parents happened to be literally this on the side there. So when I was waiting, I like can like look at the crowd, and that's like the first like people I saw. So I've been able to kind of like say hi to them and like, you know, before I got on stage. So I think it was like very cool, because I'm like, okay, that's all that matters, right? So yeah, it was like a lot of like hectic, but like also like a lot of like good feeling. And after the prejudging, obviously I didn't do like top 10, so you don't go to finals, and I was like so okay with that. I'm like, fine, I can go enjoy, I can, you know, it's Vegas, so it's like, it was great. It was really great.
You're just thinking, hey, like, I'm just grateful that I got to experience this, be here. My family's here, and they're watching me. You know what I mean? They came around, watched me, and now let's go eat some food.
Literally, there was like, I was actually almost happy. I'm like, you know, I'm like, I didn't do Tatam, like, fine. Like, there, and that was the year there was like so many competitors. Like, it was crazy amount of people. And I was like, literally, I'm happy I can just like go shower, not have to wait for final. I mean, obviously you go to 10, go to the big stage, it's like a dream, right? But like, I was like, I'm actually happy I can just go chill and like go enjoy like Vegas now, because the rest of the weekend I knew it would be like crazy. So yeah, it was great.
I love that for you. That's really cool. I wanted to hear like your story of like leading up to that, you know what I mean? Because I find it interesting just to like, you know, especially going to such a big, I mean, obviously a show, and just hearing like your perspective on like, I guess then you could say the negatives, but not, are they really like, they're negatives, but like they're minor, but I feel like your positives totally just outshine your negatives. It's like, whatever. Even
just the first workout we did, like we went to Dragons there, and you're there and like you're training around so many Olympians, and then you're like, man, I'm one of them, like, you know, I'm gonna be competing too, like, and it's such a like cool feeling. It's just like a lot of like a big like proud moment, being like, okay, like, you know, I'm used to see them training, getting up, like leading up to Olympia and stuff, and we're just there as like spectators, or like, you know, when I did a mature Olympia, it's a bit different. And I'm like, oh man, like I'm one of them too, you know. And it just, it's such a cool feeling. But it's such a good it's such a good feeling, but at the same time, I don't know how to say that out, like without like making it seem like not.
Well, I think I know what you're saying. It's like almost kind of like, I feel like when we progress like in our journey, I feel like the big things almost don't become, they're not as big as we thought they were. Like maybe like the goals, like we're like, oh my gosh, and we see it so differently. And then once we reach that, it's like, it's not as big as it's not as cool as we thought it was. Like it's not cool. I don't want to say cool, but it's not as like, oh, you know, like I did it.
You know?
Yeah.
You're not a different person. You're like, so, I mean, it was amazing, and like it was great, but like it's also, you know, I don't, you know what I mean, though.
I do. I know.
Understand what I mean.
Yeah,
you know, when you're like, oh my god, it's gonna be like life changing, and then you achieve something very big, and then the next day you're like, okay, I feel great, but I feel the same. Yeah. You know, nothing has changed.
Yeah. I know. You're like, man, I hope I learned something from this.
I did. Be careful with the lines on the stage.
Oh,
no,
gosh.
I did learn a lot, though.
Yeah. I love that, though. That's so cool.
Yeah. Okay, like, so, what are like some of your like favorite moment competing in the past 10 years?
Favorite moments competing. So I would say number one, leading up to when I got my pro card at nationals. And I was thinking about this last time we were talking about like being around people, being around our friends, our family, like during like the journey of this, right? Which I feel like I have found to be the most important thing that I really always remember over everything else. So like leading up to nationals, I remember.
Oh, sorry.
What the heck? I remember like. So, I don't know if you know Jared Feather. He's like one of Mike's, and we've known Jared since the beginning of when we got into this all together. Jared was like our first bodybuilding friend. You know, he was, you know, we would always say like he's like the little smarty pants, you know what I mean? Because he obviously is so smarty pants. But he also trains hard. And so like me and him, actually, it was Mike, me and him, we did this together. We were both going to be competing at nationals, and the really cool thing is that Jared and I both got our pro cards together. Which was like so beautiful because Jared's like a brother to me, you know what I mean? And so like we were both in prep together. We actually, which is funny, is that like Jared knows me that like I'm a girl, plus I'm like about to compete. We were actually all going to share like a hotel room. It had like a couple rooms in there, and he was like, actually, I'm going to get my own room next door because I just think he knew, obviously, like it's smaller, you know. Mike and I like had the room together, and then he was next door, so it was cool though because we could just like, hey, peek in. But the beautiful thing is that we got to do this together, you know, and I felt like it was my mindset in going into nationals. It was such a hard year for me. It was when COVID had happened, right? And so shows kept on getting canceling after one another, you know. And my coach was just like, you know, well, just keep on working, like keep on going, you know, feed me a little bit of food just to hold me over until the next, you know. And I just remember being super resilient. Like I was like, I really want this, like this is my year, I'm going to keep on pushing. Plus it just gave me more of this, yearning, like where I was like, I just want to keep pushing through. And I felt strong, but I was also, even this year, I felt like this was when I was really spiritual in my first year of prep. Like, so, you know, like each year you prep or whatever, it's like, depending on where you're at, I felt like spiritually I was so connected to where I was like, God, like, I know you got me. If, you know, like, I just felt so, like, I felt like he was with me. Like, we were, like, doing everything together, doing our cardio together, working out together, eating together, crying together, like, unsure, you know, like, just, I felt so good. And it was, like, almost like I knew that it was going to be such a good, it was good, like, the outcome was going to be awesome. So I would say, leading up to that, winning, feeling that peacefulness, like you were talking about, like, you just knew that, like, I had no anxiety. I was just almost like, man, I could fall asleep backstage is how I felt. Like, okay, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready. You know, and then me and Jared winning together, and it was just so awesome. It was beautiful to share that with him, share that together with both of us. And then even like you had brought up, like, it made me really think is like competing really at New York Pro. That was obviously New York Pro was the goal. New York Pro was the show I wanted to do even before becoming a pro. Like, I was like, New York Pro always looked so prestige. It just looked cool to me. And I was like,
and it's New York.
It's freaking New York. Like, what the heck? Like, I want to be somewhere where it's just like cool. Like, and I remember always wanting to compete at that show, and being able to be there and still do well with the girls. And, you know, that was when you and I really started our relationship, you know, and I just felt like things just felt, I don't know, like I felt excited. I felt happy being there. I felt very grateful for the opportunity to be doing something like this and feeling good. And really, like, I don't know, just like through the whole process of it, it was just really, really beautiful. And I know that like a lot of times we could look at the negative things, but I don't know, I just feel like everything has been so, I don't know, just like building
Yeah.
this character, this person that I'm supposed to be. It's like each thing is just really made me look at things differently. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like when
You know?
you're in the process and like in the moment, it's easier to see more like negative because you're going through it. It's like hard, but then after that, you can pull so many positive things from it. Even the like negative things at the time can turn into positive things in the future. Like when you look back, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, New York was like it was a dream. Like it's crazy because it was probably my favorite show, like of like ever, and that was probably my worst showing in like of not like compared to like obviously where I started, but like and like the potential of like figure of like I know what I have in me. It was not a great showing. I wasn't like in condition, and like I've always came in like in condition, so it was like a hard for me, but like I was actually really fine with it. I think what made New York so special for me, first, like you said, it's like I've like it's such a prestigious show that like when I decided to go like prep again after like coming back from the Olympia, a year not competing, like dealing with like health stuff, and then I was like, okay, I want to compete, like I want to do a show, like meaning last year, I was like, I want to do a big show. I don't care. I'm not going to try to like pick like a small show or anything. I want to do New York. I want to do a big show, and I want to do a US show because I've always done do like Toronto and like Vancouver Pro. I'm like, I want to do a US show, you know. So I knew it would be hard, but and then pushing myself there was like the hardest prep. And did you do Pittsburgh before?
Yeah.
You did, eh?
I
So
did
I was
Pittsburgh,
just,
yeah.
yeah, I was supposed to do Pittsburgh, and I ended up like having to push to like New York because I wasn't ready, and I mean I was still not ready for New York, but we're like at least let's give myself an extra week, and I think it was a blessing in a way because I think maybe if I would have done Pittsburgh, I would have saw where I was at physique wise, and I would be like, oh no, like let me pull off New York, like it makes no sense, and I would skip up on like doing New York. And New York, my coach couldn't come, so that was the first show ever I've been without my coach. Actually, no, I'm lying. Second, my first amateur Olympia, he missed my show because he couldn't find his passport.
My
But I had
gosh, you
people there to
serious?
help me. Yeah, James was there to help me, so God bless him. But first show that was like I knew like I was going there on my own. I had Emily and Aaron, which I was like very thankful for. That gave me peace. But just I'm used to like be with like Airbnb with people and go train and having like kind of like my coach telling me what to do and those like class training and stuff. And I'm very OCD too. Like I love to like him tell me right away like what I need to eat and like on the like now not like giving me 2 meals and then checking with me again and not having to like look at my phone. So I was like I had to like be calm about it, be like no, you got this, and it gave me so much confidence that like I'm able to do that on my own, like with him, but like be there and rely on me. And yeah, it gave me so much like confidence in me, and it was such a cool feeling. And just being able to like spend time with me, because usually I'm at shows, even when you try to be on your own, you're like still like in the living room with other people, like you're on your phone, but like there's always people, there's people. Now I was in my room a lot of the time on my own, and I just had to like, even if I was stressed or getting my head, I had to like come and just stay in a, like stay in a space that like I could just breathe and not like, calm myself down. And having that time alone, I was like, wow, I've done it wrong this whole time. It just there's something about just being able to tap into like yourself, right? So that, and I mean, the past 10 years, I've always competing. I never had girls that was like, oh, like, I'm competing with them. It was always like, I've competed with Quentin before, and which is, I love it, but like, I've competed with Quentin, Cody, like, I've never competed with like girlfriends. So like, I had Emily and I had you, and it was like so nice to be able to like be backstage with like girlfriend, and experience that with other like girls. So, no matter what, like the outcome, the people that are there to spend it with and like experience that is like the most precious thing. And also, that was the first show that I think, like, because my prep was so hard, just getting there and like making it there, I was already like thankful. But that was also like the first show, and I think it's me, like, I was starting to like grow my relationship with God, but I was really able to like not worry about what people thought, because I knew I wasn't exactly where I should be. Usually I would be very like stressed to like show up, and like people thinking like, oh, I'm not ready, why did I step on stage? And there was none of that. It was just like, I'm happy I got there. It doesn't matter what people think. That was a goal. I reached it, no matter what it looks to people. And I didn't care about who would acknowledge me. You go to shows, you also want people to like see you, notice you, like brands. And I was like, no, I'm here for me. So that was the best experience.
I love that. I love hearing that. And I feel like it's such a mental battle, like the whole competing, but it's like I enjoy it sickly. It's like I know that the way that I feel, like when I feel like, oh my gosh, I know that I'm going to grow in some way where it's going to help me to be stronger in some sense, and I feel like for me, it's like how I was telling you, like how I've been feeling lately is just like, I feel like it's like the start of it, but it's going to go away within a week. Do you know what I mean? Like I've been feeling this way for the last couple of weeks, but I know that something great is going to come out of it, as long as I'm not like second guessing myself and saying like, okay, you can't do this, and think of like 3 different things of why I shouldn't be doing this. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just like this kind of addiction.
I know. I feel like once you pass that groove, though, you'll like, you get to a place you're like, okay, like everything starts clicking and making sense. And it's a bit easier to like push through every day. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, but there's so many positives though that have came from it, that are coming from it. But I'm just like grateful that I have you here with me to do that. Like that's why it's like us doing the podcast really is like, it gets me out of still like me being uncomfortable in the situation that I'm in, and then doing this. It's like therapeutic for me, and for me to be able to talk with you, and I don't know. It's just really nice.
Yeah. And like the best way, I feel like sometimes just like talking out loud, but like even, when you're like going through or like when you're having hard moment, just like remembering like your blessing, or like what you're thankful for, or like how far you came from, what you've overcome, and just put everything in perspective. And
but okay, question for you though. What was your favorite thing that you ate when you were in New York? Was there like any specifics that you're like, if I go back there, I got to get this? Or why
actually
try?
I went back in
Oh yeah, you did.
Well, yeah, but like the show was like literally more in
New Jersey, right?
yeah.
Like,
So I actually just went to like New York the night of after the show. We went to like a small restaurant which was really cool. It was like it was so hidden. It was like we walked past like twice, but it was like down. It was like kind of like a loud bar, but like there was the option of food. It was we had like a full table, but and then we went to Times Square, and then everything was pretty much closed because it was like 1 a.m. or 2. But the best, so like the rest of the time was like in New Jersey. The best thing, I'm trying to remember. Oh, so Emily actually like she's a baker, and she used to watch that show. It's Bake Cake Boss.
oh yeah. Yes.
So she was like,
It's in New York, right?
Yeah. Like so. It's in New Jersey, like like I don't know if you went. It's like downtown, like New Jersey. There was like all the little shop that weekend where like there's like we went there. There was like it's like so many shops, and they have Cake Bus. It's like the original one. So we went there, and like I'm not a well. I now I cannot say that I didn't care much about like pastry and stuff or like cake. We didn't get cake, but like these were like the best pastry I've had in my entire life. Like millefeuille, no, how do you say that? Eclairs and like
Yeah.
all those things. Oh my god, it was like the best. So that was probably like the top. I'm trying to remember what we had though. We had so many things that day. We had like bagels were bombs. We had like 4 different types of like bagel sandwich, and we kind of like shared. And then what did we had else that day? Oh, like kind of the magnolia pudding. Banana pudding.
Oh yes.
I didn't go to the actual store, but like that was the just original flavor, and it was actually like just so smooth and like light and like. Oh.
That sounds so good.
I think that's pretty much what we had. Well, we had more things at restaurant, but like, yeah, that I can't remember of. Like those were like insane. What did you have? You had bagel too. You didn't go to the same place as me.
Yes. Yeah, my favorite thing because we ended up staying like close to like downtown somewhere over there, and there was this little because I love like the delis. Like I want to find the delis that are just amazing, right? Just like the mom and pop delis. So there was this one literally right across from us, and it was just like a little Jewish deli. I wanted my lox so bad. I wanted like with the salmon and the cream cheese and the capers on it on the bagel.
Okay, so okay. It was like lox.
Yeah, like lox, the fish, right? It was prestige. Like it was so delicious. Like I just enjoyed every bite of it. I told Mike, I was like, I could get another one right now, but it was so good. Then the night before, we actually found this, I don't even remember what the name of it was. It was just like the mom and pop pizza place. And we actually went there. The first time we went there, we got some pieces, and it reminded me of, I was like, this literally reminds me of Ninja Turtle pizza. Like the way it looked, it was like this thin crust, like just simple, but the flavor was so good. And then we actually walked back to our hotel, and then we were hungry again, and we're like, let's go back and go get some more pizza. So we went back and got some more pizza. I will tell you this though, I did something really, really stupid when I went back. I was like trying to be healthier, which is like so stupid. When you're gonna eat pizza. So but I think it was more like I just wanted to try something different. So I got the pizza that was like had veggies on it. Gross. I will never do that again.
No, and that's the biggest. If it's like Mediterranean, fine. If not, you're screwing up.
I know. I told Mikey, I was like, I'm so stupid. I'm like, I am never. Why would I was like, I remember I was like, why would I do that? He's like, I don't know. That's what I thought. Like, why would you get the vegetable pizza? I was like, who knows? I was like, you should have told me no.
I wish Mikey would like stop you from doing that. Like, put some sense into your brain. I wish I was there.
I wish you were there too. You would have been like, Ashley, now get the pepperoni pizza, you know? But I remember like all the veggies like just like fell off. I was like, this is disgusting. I was like, who eats this? And I was like, obviously, I wanted to try, but I threw it out. I took 2 bites. I was like, I can't do this. This is nasty. So I ate like the rest of his. But pizza was like prestige, like I said too. Those were probably really what the things I had that was really, really delicious. That was different than being back at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what they're made for though. Like the pizza and then the bagels.
Deli. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I
love a
would
good
be
big cream cheese. Like
same.
put that on everything.
I would honestly probably be like, no, I'd probably be going, if I lived out there, I'd be going to the deli every day, maybe twice a day. I probably wouldn't be like super heavy because I'd be walking around everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would be a fun life.
When I went to New York in December for like Christmas, I was with Kathleen, and then she also like loved to walk everywhere. We've walked in like 2 days because we got there like Friday like at maybe like 2, and then we left on this Sunday at like 3. So like say like 2 full days, we did 80,000 steps. My feet were burning like hell, but we just walked everywhere. It was insane.
Holy crap! That's insane.
Yeah. Just like from hotel to like, you know, like at the restaurant to like it was crazy.
How fun though.
It was fun, but like at the airport when like my feet were burning, it was not that fun. So yeah. But
yeah. I would say there's a lot of great experiences then, like a lot of positives through the journey, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I guess you could say like still learning, right, Val? Don't you think? We're still learning.
Yeah, I think they're like the more you can share with like close people and like meet people through it, it's like the best thing. There's nothing that compares that to really be able to like share like those moments and like really, you know, be able to be happy no matter like what placing, and try to be that person too. I'm not saying you, but like, well, yeah, I'm saying you guys, but like I'm just in a way like when I say like the worst experience I had, or like, you know, some of my best moment were not even moment that I won any shows or like that I did that great, or you know, but those were the moment where I could enjoy with people. Like New York was so great because of that. I had you guys, and after that was like peaceful. Like Emily and Aaron, have you met them? You haven't.
I've met Emily, but I don't know if I met Aaron.
Yeah, it was backstage at some point, but like you would love them. Like they remind me so much of like you and like Mike. They're just like, you know, super chill. Like I've traveled with people, you know, for show like so many times, and there's always a stress of like, you know, someone is like kind of like like on nerve or you know. And with Emily and Aaron, I was like, wow, like, and that's where you can see like such a like healthy relationship. It's like there's no like you know, someone being mad or like stressed or like stressing the other. Like it was just like, no, everything, it's like, no, like chill whenever you feel like, or like, you know, it was like very chill. So like even after, like it was just such a fun like moment. There was no like, oh, I want to go that way. It's like, no, like, okay, like we're like all like kind of like free, not free bird, but like, how do you say that? When you just like chill, I'm like a very chill person. They're like the same,
like kind of just like free spirited type thing. Like
yeah.
Just like,
But I went to shows when I won my pro card. I was around people that like were not as like happy because, you know, they felt a bit like jealous because they didn't win theirs, and you know, without saying any names, but it was a very hard moment for me because it's something I've like waited so long for and worked for, and then I got my pro card, and I'm just so happy and I want to enjoy that, and then I'm like, I restricted myself from enjoying, you know, that moment, and I can like quiet down myself because I felt bad for that other person, you know, that I could tell that wasn't happy or like was jealous of it, or like, you know, because they didn't won theirs. And I was just like, what a like shitty feeling that I have to like press down my excitement and my joy, you know, just to like not
to make them feel
bother
better
them.
about the situation.
Yeah. So I think after that, and like I've been really careful with, you know, who I go to shows with, or, you know, who, not putting any expectation, and just try to like do what I want to do and be able to enjoy that. So, and the other side, if you're that person that maybe didn't have a great experience, or like the place that you want, like try to like still be proud and happy. And if you're not, you know, maybe take some time for you, you know. Does that make sense? I don't want to sound like,
no,
like,
I think that makes total sense, because I feel like through it you learn how it affects you, the people around you, the people that you share this journey with, if it's your coach, if it's your friends, the people that influence you. Like, we are influenced with what is around us, who is around us. And I feel like you either will notice that someone is dragging you down. There could be tension, jealousy, in the situation like you brought up. I think that's a great example, because I've experienced that before, where it's just like, even you could just tell someone's not really happy, but because they're like in their own position where maybe like they wanted to do better, or maybe they're not even competing, but they didn't want to see you necessarily do well. So I just think that you have to be really careful. But I think you'll also learn through this who are people that care about you, want to see you do well. But I think also we learn through those situations, and we learn even through our coaches. Like, I feel like even though I'm not with my old coach now, and, you know, I feel like I still learned a lot from him. You know, just bringing that up with people that have influenced us and people that are around our life, if it's good influence or bad. But I feel like I've learned a lot through the experience of learning about myself, with the coach, right? Like, what works for Ashley, what doesn't. And then even the people around me, who I want to share this experience with, because it's our experience, but it's personal. It's personal, right? So that makes sense what you're saying. Totally.
That. Yeah, it's like, don't feel like you need to share that with everyone, you know. If you want to, I always felt like, just going before we like clip this, I feel like I'm gonna go off tangent again, but I feel like, oh my god, I completely lost my train of thought.
Gosh, that's me every other hour.
Well, you've been good. You haven't lost any train of thought. Wait, what were you saying before?
I was saying like who we like it's our personal, like, personal growth. Like, we don't have to share it with everybody. Like, we don't have to like bring everyone into it. Like, it's just whoever makes us feel comfortable.
Yeah. So okay, so I used to like feel all the time like overwhelmed, because I have so many expectations, or like, you know, after a show it's like, oh, like I should be sharing that moment with this and that. And I think too, like, the like when I was struggling the most was when my parents weren't coming too, because I love them and I'm so happy they're there. But I was like, okay, like they also have like a language barrier, so it's not like I can be with my friends and them and they can easily talk to everyone. So I feel like I'm responsible to like just, you know, take care of them. But then I also want to like be with my friend. I also want to celebrate with. So I always felt that pull of like wanting to please everyone, of like, well, like, okay, after the show, like, I know like these people are gonna want to go to eat, but like these two and like these, and then, well, like, should we include? It's like, okay, like I got to a point I was like, just choose your place. Who wants to follow, who doesn't want to follow, it's okay, you know. Don't try to like bring everyone in and please everyone, because you end up, you know, not even enjoying that for yourself. You know. So I think that was always a big thing that I just learned, to be like, just, you know, just go wherever you want, and people are gonna follow if they want to celebrate with you, you know. So yeah.
No, that's true. And that's good. Because I remember you always being like, you're like, oh, whatever. You know, you're just like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, if you want to come. I remember something like that, I think, in New York. But I was like, okay, cool. Like, you're like, if we meet up, we meet up. But if, you know what I mean? It's fine. Like, don't feel pressured, you know, like it is what it is. And I liked that because it made me feel, because I feel like I was like that way, like kind of like, man, I want to make sure everyone's like, oh, I came for you. And then you feel like you have to please everyone. So with you saying that to me, I felt like more chill, like, okay, like she understands, like I don't have to, she doesn't feel like, you know, like
Yeah,
I don't
like
feel like
if
I
I
have
don't
to like
text her to like
entertain.
go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we understand each other.
Yes. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
That was
But
good
yeah.
though.
Yeah, no, a lot of good things, and I hope you guys that like are competing and like going through like shows and stuff are really able to enjoy those moments and just getting so many positive out of it, even if it's sometimes it looks a bit negative in the moment. There's so many positive, and just try to focus on that and enjoy those.
Yeah, and have fun. Enjoy the journey. Know that you're going to learn a lot about yourself. And they're going to be, I feel like it really brings up things that you have to work on within yourself. I notice like things that maybe I didn't know about myself that are things that I don't like about myself. I don't want to say don't like, but things that I feel like could be better. It's helped me to work on those things, to be better at it, and then it just enhances the good, but
Yeah.
I liked that we really that we just shared this about ourselves and where we started, and I really hope that you guys that are listening can take some good tips from that, and just give yourself grace as well and have fun.
Yeah. Have fun. That's it. That is all.
Yeah, that is
Awesome, guys.
it.
Thank you so much for listening. We're a week late again, but we're doing our best over here. So, yeah.